Welcome, guys, to Tell It to Trevor. I'm your host, Trevor Shelley. Today on my podcast, I have Miss Gaby Gilbert.
Hi.
She also, if you've seen her on YouTube, probably with GTS Wrestling and all wrestling industries around the country, maybe the world.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Making sure I got that right. If you guys are wondering where you guys can see her matches, it's on IWTV YouTube.
Yeah, I got a lot on YouTube.
Yeah. All right. First question, what got you into wrestling?
Okay, so what got me into watching wrestling, I used to with my dad all the time. There's always like wrestling Saturday mornings I used to watch, and then it was always on at my dad's house. He had tapes and tapes of wrestling. It was always sort of wrestling on. But what got me into actually wanting to be a wrestler, there was like this documentary called "The Unreal Story of Pro," and it talked about how Mula had a wrestling school, and I was like, "Oh my god, there's schools for this!" And I guess and then you kind of don't realize. And then I just started looking for schools, and then I just became one. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right. If you could sign any wrestling promotion, which one and why?
If I could sign at any wrestling promotion, I guess, I'd have to go with WWE. I was just a fan of them like my whole life growing up, and I thought I'd do other things with them. I feel like my time has passed at least on stage with them. Backstage, maybe. You never know. Um, but probably like to do something with NWA would be awesome because I was a big NWA fan, so it's kind of to live out his dream too.
All right. Next question. What is your toughest opponent you have faced so far?
That's hard to say because I don't know. I wrestle girls and guys, and it's who hits the hardest or who gets hit the hardest, and we'll just back. I don't. It's insane. I wrestled Awesome Kong, Knuckles, Jimmy Rave. I've wrestled so many girls in Japan that were kicked my ass. It's hard to say. Yeah.
What is your top 5 movies?
Movies. Oh, gosh. It's gonna be hard too because I have a 100 list that just keeps rotating. My very very favorite has to be Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's got everything in it, and even if you watch it today, even the cartoon in it still looks good. It doesn't look like, oh, it was good for that time. It was good. It had a good story. It had murder and love and cartoons. That was one of my top favorites. The Fifth Element has to be one of mine because every time it's on, I have to watch it. And then I was like, oh man, this was really hard. There's any good movies, all the Rocky movies, I guess. And then there's just so many good horror movies. All the Nightmare on Elm Streets are definitely my favorite. I'm a Freddy Krueger fan. Yeah, I totally got my Freddy Krueger shirt on. And then there's so many. There's so many. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say for those ones. We're gonna have to come back to that one.
All right. So sticking on the TV slash movie sides, what's your top 5 TV shows?
These are hard ahead of time.
I should have.
On TV right now, I do like watching the Hallmark Christmas movies, but TV shows My Life was awesome. I love that. That's a big thing for me. The funny the show You was crazy. I thought that was good. That's a good show. And it's I guess Seinfeld has to be one of my top favorites. Like, I'll quote that show all the time. But everyone's young now, no one knows what I'm quoting. Definitely Seinfeld's got to be up there. Yeah, let's go with that for now. I'll come back to that one too.
So this one might be hard for you. I don't know. It's called if you had to book yourself in a 12-man tag team, who would be on your team?
So, like 12 people on my team, or is it like 6 against 6?
6 against 6.
Man, because there's so many good wrestlers that I want to wrestle, but then I kind of want on my team. Man, all right. Dead or alive or what? Or alive?
It don't matter.
Yeah. All right. I have like Matt Bourne, the original Doink, Jim Brave. So that's and then I guess I would be 3, and then maybe the Undertaker, Colt Cabana, Eugene Nagata.
Okay.
That sounds like a good team. Like I didn't name any girls. On the other side, like Natsuki Tayo, Hidaka, oh my, because I want to wrestle Johnny Saint. I would put Johnny Saint teams. I could wrestle Johnny Saint, and then all the lucha guys. I mean, like maybe like Rey Mysterio, Tiger Mask, or someone, or so many people. So many people. It would be a crazy good match. I don't know. It'd be fun. It's got to be fun in there. It'd be fun. It'd be hard hitting and fun.
Yeah. That's all that matters in wrestling.
Right?
In my opinion. If you could work with any wrestler that is of any time, who would it be and what show?
Ooh. I want to work with everybody. I wrestle everyone everywhere.
I've heard a lot of people just tell me like WrestleMania, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm just waiting until someone says the New Japan, their WrestleMania.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, because I just love the Survivor Series feeling. So like, Survivor Series would be awesome. I love that style of matches, but like, or if we did like King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring, whatever it is. There was a thing on they did King and Queen of the Ring. It was an intergender tag match tournament. That was cool. I was in that. There's so many people that I would want to wrestle. So many people would want to wrestle again because I feel like when I did wrestle them, I didn't get a chance to like have the match I wanted because I wasn't ready yet. Like one of my first matches, I wrestled Mickey James, you know what I mean? And like, I barely knew what the hell anything was. Like I knew what the ring was. But if I could go back and have like, a really good match with her, like when we were both at her peak, I would love to have wrestle Gail Kim, Victoria, Kiki Taro. I definitely want to wrestle like Natsuki Tayo, like Funakata, or something like that. That'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I guess I know there's like a one in I think it's Stardom, and it's like a Cinderella tournament. Like you're connecting. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a Cinderella tournament, and then like I guess whoever wins, like their grand, fairy godmother out, and like they get to grant a wish, and like so you get to like go for the title. You want to kind of match you want to do. That would be a cool tournament to do with the girls. Yeah. So I don't know all those things. I want to wrestle everybody everywhere.
All right. So this is probably one you might have to think about on. It's called, well, not called, but it's.
They're great questions. I'm so indecisive.
Okay. If you were in a video game, which video game and why?
Okay. I don't know, because it's really funny. Because my whole life, all my friends would always tell me that I was like a video game character, and I don't understand what that meant. And I don't play a lot of video games because I'm not good at it. Because I got vertigo, and a lot actually make me sick when I play. Um, I don't know. I guess it would be like a wrestling one. You know what it was? Legend Wrestling. That was a good one because you had to like go to all the tournament, like all the territories, and you had to like earn your spot, and then you had to like go to the other one and collect belts. You had to like go to every territory. So maybe if I was that, and I don't know, who I would be, I guess myself.
All right, so this is I always ask this question is, what match before you started training made you want to become a wrestler?
Okay, the very first Survivor Series, and it was the women's match, and it had
Okay.
like who was in that match? Mula, Dawn Marie. It was a different Dawn Marie. Then like Barry Martell was in it. She was a women's champion. Glamour Girls were in it. The Jumping Bob Angels were in it. It was was it Velvet McIntyre was like such a good match, like for what it was, and it was just like the girls were ass, and I just wanted to be a part of it. It was awesome. I guess I'm gonna go with that one. One of my favorite matches.
All right, so now we're gonna start this thing I told you was the 30-second, the Stone Cold challenge, basically.
Okay.
All right, so it's called Trev Shock. All right, first question: who was your mentor for wrestling?
That's so hard to say. So I've been wrestling for like 23 years now. So I've had a few mentors over the time. Um, when I first started, like my one trainer, Magic, he was from Jersey All Pro, him and Fat Frank kind of mentored me. Then, just the other students that were like a class or be like I guess mentors. Because I'm trying to think mentors and not trainers. So, I did have Axel Rotten for a while was one of my mentors, and he encouraged me to go to Mexico. I was scared. I didn't think I was ready. I was just scared to leave the country, kind of thing. And he just encouraged me to go, and I loved it, and I loved it. And so he really encouraged me to be myself, and for everybody else was telling me to like be this person. He encouraged me to be
Yeah.
another mentor I had for a while was like Sereno. They're helping me out and like give me advice. And then, another person I would just always go to and like would be my biggest mentor and everything. And I was a huge fan of his and everything was Jimmy Rave, and he is just an amazing person, like in and out of the ring. And, I look up to him in every way possible. So he was my biggest mentor. I love him.
All right, who is your favorite wrestler growing up?
So I loved when I was like little, it was Hulk Hogan because that's all I knew was Hulk Hogan. That because my dad was a Ric Flair and all I knew was Hulk Hogan. I didn't remember anybody's names. But when I started to like realize who people were, um, Undertaker was definitely my favorite. Gold Dust was my favorite, and then I started learning like other types of wrestling, and then I got favorites as of like that style. I got a favorite of that style, kind of. So
Yeah.
those two were, I guess, Undertaker and Goldust were my biggest ones for the longest time, and Boink the Clown. And then, like, I started getting into actual wrestling. Jimmy Ray was one of my favorite wrestlers, and Mama, and like Yuji Nagata is like one of my favorites. like Johnny Bull Nakata. Yeah. I got a lot. I don't know. I'm sorry. I got a lot. I'm like very indecisive
All right,
person.
what was your first show you have worked? What was your first show you worked, if you can remember?
So I guess technically my first show was like a Jersey All Pro student show I did in Bayonne, New Jersey. I kind of started Battle Royal and then I like met people. So I did a lot of managing before I got a lot of matches in because there weren't that many girls at the time. There was like a handful of girls. So when you finally got a girl, it was like, oh my god, we got to wrestle. My very, very first match was a mixed tag match. It was me and like a guy named New Wave against oh my god, what is her name? Oh my god, I can't remember the guy name. The guy was like I want to say Rick something. And he was like the owner of the company and then his girlfriend, which I cannot remember her name. They not like something I don't know. I don't remember. It was a mixed tag. It was like one of my first actual matches. So
All right. How many belts have you won so far?
gosh, I need to look this up. I am I've had 8 tag titles, and I think I've had like 7 or 9 titles, and some of them are like women's type. Most of them are women's titles, and I've had a few like DCW had a title. Oh my god, I'm the worst with titles. What was the name of this? It was like a unique title, like make your own. And what the hell do they call that title? Too many jobs in my head. So I've had about 15 titles. I do have to say I was the very first women's champion that the state of Maryland ever had. So they went years
Okay.
and had a women's champion, and then when one of the companies actually had one, I was the women's champion. I was excited for that.
All right. Favorite wrestling TV brand? So that's like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA, AEW, whatever their shows are called.
Dynamite or something. You know what I love, and I'm Sunday Night Heat. That was
Sunday
good
Night Heat.
because it was like they added
Yes.
storylines that were happening. Then it was like a lot of like really good wrestling. Where I feel like Raw was very promo heavy with trying to love the promos and the
Mm-hmm.
story, like, but the Sunday Night Heat had all that and like the highlights of what was happening during the week. But then you just saw some like these awesome matches that were not expected. You guys go back and watch Sunday Night Heat stuff. You will see some amazing stuff, and I that was great. I just loved it.
All right. And then the last question of Trev Shock. It's favorite Looney Tunes character.
I'm gonna have to say Sylvester.
Sylvester? Okay, that's the first I've heard.
What? He's the
Yeah,
best.
I've heard Marvin the Martian, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck,
Yeah, he is.
and Elmer. I want to say that's his name. The one with the shotgun.
Yeah. So, yeah, Sylvester. Sylvester, definitely my favorite. That, or it was like Pepe Le Pew.
And
Remember?
Tasmanian Devil. That's the other one.
Oh,
I forgot of.
yeah, definitely Sylvester. Sylvester the cat. And I think my second would have to be like Pepe Le Pew. What's your favorite?
My favorite, it's got to be Tweety Bird.
Really? We go together
Yeah,
then.
Tweety Bird or it's Bugs Bunny, depending on what series I'm watching it on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If it's the normal one, it's Tweety Bird. But if it's the baby Looney Tunes that they had, that show,
Yeah.
it's Bugs Bunny.
Nice. That's funny.
All right. And then where can they find you on social media?
Social media, you can definitely find me on Twitter or Instagram or whatever that's called. But Instagram, it's I am Gaby Gilbert, like IAM Gaby Gilbert. So you can find me there. I usually post all my stuff there and try to update all everything there. And you can find me on YouTube, Gaby Gilbert. You can find my.
All right. Thank you, Gabby, for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much. I do just want to say real quick that I really appreciate you having me on. This is awesome. And hopefully you guys can look for me because I'm in Chile in a couple weeks. And so look for posts about that. And I'll let you guys know how to find the matches when I'm down there. And also, like in March of next year, this DCW, Dynamite Championship Wrestling and Trainer, is putting me in their Hall of Fame. So it'll be fun if you guys could all come and check that out.
So that would mean you would be the first Hall of Famer to be on this podcast.
Yeah. All right. It'll be awesome. Well,
Because the
thank you
goal
so
for me is I'm trying to get. Oh, you were saying what?
I was saying for having me. But would you say you had
Oh,
goals? Like, what was your
no
goals for the
problem. You said what?
You said something about having goals?
So one of my goals is to have the Hardy Boys on here, just because I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. We record in Charlotte, and I was like, I know Jeff on a personal level that where I can just walk up to a show and just wait in his line, and he'd be like, "Oh, I remember when you were working at the job that I stayed at, and the fan interaction and everything." And I was like, "Well, thanks." I had to like calm all my nerves down for that because Jeff is my favorite person of all time that I watch.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, always ask. You never know. People are going to say no, but they might say yes.
Well, it works out because WrestleCade's coming up next week for me, so.
Oh, yeah, it's in North Carolina, right?
Yeah, up in Winston-Salem, so like an hour to 2 hour drive.
I'll be in North Carolina like in January 25th for See No Evil Wrestling. I'm not sure what part of North Carolina that is.
Well, when you find out, let me know and I will happily make that drive.
Definitely, I'll send you all the information.
All right. Thank you, Gabby, for being on the podcast. I'm going to end this before it gets more staticky.